welcome. Welcome back to the Character Challenge. I think we're live now, so Becca and I are here to talk about all the things character related. Now, if you are brand new and you have no idea what in the world you have just opened up, we are kicking off. Last week, we kicked off technically our character building challenge, which is 100% free. It's sort of like a mini writing challenge. The goal is to help you fully flesh out a character. And as some of our participants are seeing, and I was seeing somebody say in the forums today, there is a very intensive, time consuming worksheet that you can use to plan out your character. We're going to show that and show you how you would upload it in your AutoCrit today. But what's the goal of working through this, Becca, especially for my fellow pantsers who are like paralyzed by hearing the word worksheet?
Yeah, so one of the things, and I realize that I will be the first one to admit that do I do this big of a deep dive on each of my characters before I write? No, I don't. I am a plantser. I am someone who lets, my characters are usually pretty well defined before I write, but I leave a lot of creative freedom. The point behind all of this is to think about your characters in a different way, to give yourself a more significant starting point for a fully developed, fully fleshed out character. So this is an exercise. It is not us advocating that you do this for every single character before you write, not by any means. If you find it fun and entertaining, by all means do it. But this is just an exercise in understanding the depth of character development.
Let's see here. So we got several questions this week as we open things up, and we do hope that today's live will clarify some of those because our goal is to show you how to open the link with the spreadsheet that was emailed out, or the worksheet that was emailed out, how to download a copy to your computer as a docx, and then how to upload that into AutoCrit, which is where you will be filling it out and where you will submit it if you plan to submit for judging. Now, you don't have to submit. Part of the fun of the challenge is if you get going in this and maybe you do this for 3 or 4 characters and you don't completely fill any of it out, you're still making progress. So you can just use this for your own benefit. You retain 100% of the rights to all the stuff you're creating with the worksheet. It is just meant to get your creative gears turning just in time for our short story challenge next month, too, if you want to take a character and slide them in there. But some of the questions that we have received the first one is, do you have to complete every single question? And the answer to that is yes. We do want you to answer every single question. Now, we have said in Destination Unknown, you heard Garrett say this, we've said this in Cupid's Gone Rogue, and we're going to say it again here. Please do not overthink the questions. We are not asking for 1 to 2 page deep dives on every single question. If you end up going long worded, you will not be disqualified. There's not a maximum word, but please don't feel like you have to create narrative for each of these questions showing this off or anything like that. Just a 1-sentence answer or 2-sentence answer is plenty. You can reorder the questions if answering one made you think of something that should also go in a different spot. But we do want all the questions on there to be answered. Becca, what do you want to add to that? Because I know you and I have chatted a little bit about that.
Yeah. There is some comments too that there is some repetition in or very similar questions, or they may not be identical, but they are similar. And there was a question for the can you repeat answers? I mean, if you truly feel like your answer can fit in 2 categories, then I'm not going to say don't. Just make sure that you know that you're answering the question at hand. There was another question that says name and dynamic at the very, very end. And let me see. Who are the key relationships that shape their story? What is their name and the dynamic of that relationship? So the dynamic of the relationship is are they the best friend? Are they a colleague? Are they a boss? What is the nature of that relationship? Is it their aunt? Like, what is it, a familial relationship? That kind of thing. If you need to reorder stuff because it's not working in the current order for your brain, knock yourself out. As long as the questions are answered, I do not care what order they are in. if I am the last person to tell you that it has to be in a specific order, because I think of the order I put things in, I'm not a linear writer, is often mind numbing to everyone else. So put it in an order that makes sense to you. That's fine. Just make sure you don't cut any out. And let me, because I'm getting a lot of requests every day for edit access to this. So I'm going to share my screen really fast.
Take it away.
Share screen. Okay. Is it, hopefully you can see my document here. All right, awesome. So what I want you to do is you're going to go, if you open this document, it is a public, anyone with the link has access. You don't need to sign in. You're going to go over here to File. You're going to go over here to Download, and you're going to go to Microsoft Word DocX. You can also, if you really want to, download it in RTF or plain text. It's up to you. You're going to download it in Microsoft Word. I already downloaded this, so I'm not going to download it again. And then we're going to take that Word file and we're going to upload it directly into the writer's desk. So hold on, let me stop sharing so I can share my other screen, because I am sitting at like a command post right now. And if you get really into it and you're writing a ton, that's totally fine. Knock yourself out, seriously. Interesting. Okay, so we are going to... I'm going to share my screen again. Just a second.
One of the questions while you're doing that, Becca, is what is a practical flaw? On the sheet, it asks, for an emotional flaw, and then it has a practical flaw. And this one can be hard to answer, but in my mind, a practical flaw is something that is going to affect their day-to-day life. For example, Fred cannot share his true feelings with other people because he's closed off. Or I have a character who has to, she has to eat at a certain time of day, and if she doesn't, she feels sick. And so when they go out on trips, she's always getting sick, right? Like that's sort of a stumbling block. It can be that internal, but it's something that affects the day-to-day routine, the day-to-day flow. I don't know if you have anything you want to clarify.
I was thinking things like perhaps it's a lack of skill that they have in a significant area. Perhaps they just maybe they only DoorDash food. Maybe no one ever taught them and they never bothered to learn how to cook at all. Maybe they are, or they have something that maybe they are consistently making the wrong course, choosing the wrong course of action based on not thinking things through. Maybe they have an issue in how they manage their money. Maybe it's a, it's a flaw that's not necessarily, doesn't always have to be really huge. We also have a whole blog post devoted to character flaws and things like that you can use as reference, and I will find that link. It's not letting me show my writer's desk right now. For some reason, it won't let me share this page. But yes, once you tab the Word document, if you filled it all out in Word, you could do that and then upload it to the writer's desk, totally fine. Or you can upload the Word template directly to the writer's desk and then fill it out inside the writer's desk. So those are the two things as well. So I actually would not use ADHD necessarily as a practical flaw as your character. That is definitely, as someone with ADHD, I would use that more as a way that their brain works, because it is, neurodivergence. It's not a flaw, it's a difference. But there are elements that come out in that you could probably use. Like if someone is, say, managing time poorly, and that is, they don't attribute it directly to their ADHD. They're just constantly late. That would be me. I am late to everything. Then if you're doing that as they're never on time, instead of, oh, they have ADHD, they can't be on time. I think that's an important distinction to make.
Yeah. We don't want to, we want to be sensitive. So we're not looking for characters using race, gender, things like that as a flaw. That's who they are. That's their identity. So I've got my writer's desk up here.
Thank you.
What Becca was just talking about is, or my homepage, if you're an autocrat, member, this is where you are going to log into our site. Now, as a challenge participant, you have free access to the writer's desk in order to complete this challenge. So the things you have to have for the challenge are free. They do not require a payment. You go to the writer's desk tab on the left-hand side, and you're going to click upload file. This is where you are going to upload the docx that you got from the sheet we emailed out. If you need this sheet, if you're missing the email and you know that you already signed up, please email us at support@autocrit.com or hit this little help bubble in the bottom right corner of the site and we can get you the file. But you're going to upload the file into here, and that is going to open up a page that looks like this. This is not one that has the file in it, but the file would be in this page. And then you can write whatever you would like to write and come back next Tuesday for instructions on how to submit the file to us. We do not want you worrying about submissions this week. We want you worried about finishing up the actual sheet itself. For the little small housekeeping details, Becca and I do not care as long as it's a readable English font. What font you use, or whether you do an 11 or a 12 or a 14 point font, we just want it to be readable. And here is the link to the character flaw blog that Becca found for us. This is an international challenge, so yes, you can absolutely sign up even if you are not in the US. We would love to have you.
And the question of so being diabetic and needing to stop to eat or give insulin is not a flaw. No, that is managing a medical condition.
Yeah. Yep. So JA is on top of it. Right now, we have a challenge that is to fill out this character sheet. It's a character building challenge, but we do also have, I believe, a link to a page where you can see upcoming challenges, including ones that we did a special announcement on last week for the summer and fall. So if you were a NaNoWriMo participant like me and look for a new home, maybe come try out Novel 90 with us this summer and this fall. We're going to help write a shorter work in the summer and then a full-length novel, planning, writing, and editing it in 90 days in the fall. All right, so
to you, Catherine, to share as well. There is the challenges page, so you can look at all of our upcoming challenges and register from one place. And then we also have a little bit about Novel 90 in a post that you can read about. I know we have some people on the live right now that completed Novel 90 in the fall. We had thousands of you that actually completed this. It is a fantastic opportunity. It is it's got the structure. It's 90 days, plan, write, edit. And I'm looking forward to seeing some of these Novel 90 books from the fall on the shelves. So we're really excited to be doing this again.
Yeah. And as we said, if you have lost your sheet, you lost the email with the link to the sheet, you can email us at support@autocrit.com, or you can click the help bubble in the bottom right corner of the Autocrit website. We will get you the sheet. And again, 1 to 2 sentences per answer is plenty. If you go longer because you just have the wheels turning, then go longer. We're not going to put a maximum word count on this. Now, we will be transparent. As many people as we have participating in this challenge, if you send us a 20-page document, we will probably not read your entire document. We will probably read the first couple sentences on each answer, just for the sake of time. But if you want that extra stuff for world building purposes, definitely go for it. All right, so we got a lot of questions this week about character arcs, and we are going to talk about character arcs. I'm actually going to pull up a slide on the screen here, possibly.
And while you're doing that, Catherine, I'm just going to address this one more time. So there is the character name plus dynamic. So Charles, that is, I did answer that earlier, but let me answer it again. So that's going to be who the character, the name, who they are, and what their dynamic or their relationship is to the main character that you just profiled in this deep dive. So is it their aunt? Is it their boss? Is it their ex-boyfriend? Is it their child? Who is this person, and what is the relationship dynamic that they have together? Is it friendship? Is it their random neighbor? That kind of situation. Yeah, so that is how that works. If you choose to write more than a couple sentences, you knock yourself out. I'm also a wordy person. It's fine. But just please make sure that things are answered. And with that, I'm turning it over to Catherine to talk about character arcs because we did get a lot of questions about that.
Yes. So I love character arcs. And I plotted this out. Okay, let me make it bigger. I'm sorry. That way, hopefully, everybody can see it better. Here you go. There are two predominantly well known types of arcs. There are normal character arcs, which start at the beginning, and then the character climbs up as they gain confidence, enthusiasm, and drive. And then they hit the midpoint, and after the midpoint, they usually encounter what we call the dark moment of the soul. And that makes them rethink everything. I like to think of this as their humbling moment. It takes the arrogance out of, or over enthusiasm perhaps, out of the character as they get ready to face the final conflict, the climax, and the end of the book. And at the end of the book, they are a different person. Every story, if you're looking at a main character, every story should be shaping who this person is. If they go through something worth writing about, worth reading about, then they should not be the same person at the end as they were at the beginning of the book. This is across genres, whether you write romances, which are known for that big arc, fantasies, sci-fis, mysteries, horror. The characters should change. If you have written a book where the character is the exact same person at the end as they were at the beginning, then that character's journey did not impact them whatsoever. And you have to ask yourself, why did we just read it? If that's the case. Even nonfiction, I remember reading the Walk Through the Woods, and just being profoundly affected by the impact of trying to hike the Appalachian Trail in a nonfiction book. People grow, and that growth is what drives us to care about them as people. So, if the character you've chosen for your challenge is a side character, they may not have as pronounced an arc on the page. But if you're going for a primary character like your protagonist, then we do expect to see sort of either this arc where they start, and then their first conflict gives them some confidence. Their second one hits the top peak of their growth, and then they have their dark moment of soul and they even out, or an inverted character arc, which we're going to talk about in just a second. So, in a normal character arc, I had to do this because Becca and I are both Lord of the Rings fanatics. So here we are. Bilbo Baggins starts his story out as a respectable hobbit. And yes, we know that he is the descendant of Bulwer Took, who smashed the head off of a goblin and also created golf at the same time. Okay. But he has tamped down his adventurous nature and he has enough money to live on comfortably. He's enjoying his life. He's respectable. And then Gandalf shows up with a bunch of dwarves and sends him off on his adventure. And he starts that story out going back and forth, a little wishy-washy. I don't think this is for me. I don't have my pocket handkerchiefs. It's cold. It's wet. I don't have all my food that I like. And then he encounters the trolls, and that's his first conflict. And because of his smart thinking and his nimbleness, he is able to distract the trolls long enough for Gandalf to show up, smash the mountainside, and the sun turn them all to stone. Well, he feels pretty confident after that, right? He feels like, hey, maybe this adventuring thing is for me. I can be sneaky. And then he gets to the middle of his story. Now, we are using the book here. We are not using the movies. In the book, he encounters the Goblin King, and Gandalf has to save him. That's sort of the beginning of his middle arc. He sees just how dark and dangerous the real world is. And then he encounters Gollum while still underground and realizes that he has to get out on his own. The whole experience starts him on a more humbling path. He has to go through Mirkwood Forest and ends up isolated and realizes just how small he really is. And then he has to try to steal something from Smaug the dragon. And honestly, in the book version, there is no fight between the dwarves and the hobbit and the dragon. The dragon storms off, and Bilbo is left riddled with guilt for what is going on outside with the Lakemen and the humans, and they're all sort of cowering in fear, waiting for the dragon to come back or not. That's sort of his dark moment of the soul. At the same time, he's seeing what the treasurer is doing mentally to his friends, and he starts to question everything about why he went. He is a braver hobbit. He does have a more level head on his shoulders, but his excitement has now been tempered in this darker moment with the reality of consequences for his actions. Then we get to the Battle of Five Armies. He's snuck out of the mountain. He's taken the Arkenstone to try to both save his friend and pay back the Lakemen for their destroyed town. And he ends up sitting out most of the battle, conked on the head behind a rock, wakes up, deals with the aftermath, and returns to the Shire. And while his life at the Shire is probably not any different whatsoever once he comes home, the internal changes that have happened over the journey will shape him for the rest of his life. So that's an example of the character arc. They might be in the exact same place at the end as the beginning, but he is a notably different person because of that. So we also have Sophie from Howl's Moving Castle. If you like Howl's Moving Castle, the movie starts out as a dutiful sister and daughter. She runs into the Witch of the Waste, who then curses her to look old and have a feeble body. She starts overcoming that as she works for Howl, and she feels like she's actually liberated to live her life without the duty for once, only to then get sucked into the political drama and realize that the man she's falling in love with is turning into a monster. When she visits the king's castle, she has to find his physical heart and return it to him before he is permanently consumed and might lose everything that she cares about in the process. And at the end, they get their happily ever after, but she is a very different person in that happily ever after than the Sophie we see in the beginning. So this is an inverted arc. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time on arcs today, but here it is, so you can take a look and bring it up bigger. On an inverted arc, the character starting with life the way it's probably going to be the best that it's ever going to be. And then as the first conflict hits, it spirals them to rock bottom. Then they have a small moment of clarity where they realize that I might be at rock bottom, but insert thing here makes this journey still worth doing. That then gives them the resolve they need to rise above their situation, hit the second conflict, and end at the end of the story. This is very common in dark tales like dark fantasy, dark sci-fi, and horror, where we see people rise up over the course of the book. So in contrast to Bilbo, Frodo Baggins over the entire Lord of the Rings series has an inverted character arc. He is happy at the beginning, and then of course when he reaches the Fellowship of the Ring, that first book, the purpose is, can a fellowship of people get this ring to Mount Doom? And they can't. When it falls apart, he spirals into his deep, dark depression. By the time they hit Osgiliath, in the movies, we're going to be talking movies on this one because they don't go to Osgiliath in the book. Sorry, you guys. In the movies, he goes to Osgiliath, and the famous line that we see float around YouTube, even if you're not a Lord of the Rings fan, is Sam coaching Frodo through this moment where Frodo wants to give up. And he tells Frodo, there's still good in this world, Mr. Frodo, and it's worth fighting for. And that boosts Frodo back up. It gets him to keep going on the trek. He survives Shelob's lair and then says he's going to Mount Doom, and Sam practically drags him up there. And then they, of course, destroy the ring. And when he returns to the Shire, he also is a very different person. But his arc was not a, I'm stronger, I'm better, I'm happier, and then come down like Bilbo, his uncle. His arc was, I'm at the bottom. This is pointless. There's no hope for us at all. And Sam has to pull him back. So when you're thinking about arcs for the cause of your story, you can ask yourself which arc you want them to have. But that's sort of what we're looking for, is some kind of growth. What is it about your story that is inspiring them to grow? What is it about your story that inspires them to pull through if they're on this inverted? Becca, you have anything you want to add into arcs at all for what you're looking for?
I think you covered a lot of it. Now, I did notice a question, and forgive me. Let me make sure I get the right quote, the right person here. Hold on. Let me go up here. Scrolling. Rose, I think you have brought it up. You have a character, and your protagonist is 12 years old. So when you look at your character arc and when you look at some of these questions, you're not going to be able to answer adulthood-like questions for a child. If their childhood is not completely over, then you're unable to answer that. So how would you like us to, Catherine, do you have thoughts on how we do this? Answer what you can, and then put as an explanation in the question that you can't answer because they don't have the life experience to know that. Perhaps reiterate the age of the protagonist. Do you think that works for you, Catherine?
Yeah, I would say if you don't plan on any point in the story aging them up, then just say doesn't apply to this story, character's a minor. That's fine. If you do at some point in the book or series plan to age them up, though, go ahead and use this as the opportunity to map them out the whole way through.
And if you don't know where your story is going, if you're doing this and you're like, I don't know, I might write this a story, I might not, we're not going to hold you to this when it comes time to write. So if you don't know where your story is going, do your best guess on some of these. If you're like, I don't know how the plot ends, experiment a little bit. Go ahead and put something in there that makes sense to this current plot line. If it changes when you write the book, that's totally fine. This is just an exercise. Hopefully that helps answer some of those questions. Let me double check here. Yeah, hybrid arc, James, fantastic. I love it.
Yeah. As long as they have an arc, that's what we're looking for. We're just looking to make sure that the character that you're focusing on is going to change, is going to have been impacted because of the journey they're on. If you have a romance where the character is the exact same person at the end as they were at the beginning, then what has this relationship really done for them? It hasn't made them a better person. It hasn't made them a worse person. They're the same person, and that might just fall flat or hit as unbelievable to readers. Becca's our romance expert. I see you nodding your head. I mean,
we don't want stagnant, characters that don't have any personality or growth. Those are really boring to read often, right? If you've read a book where you're like, wow, this person just dug in and they're not going to do anything the whole time, they're just going to be this person that doesn't have any change or growth, that's not fun to read, is it? That's not something that we want. We're not engaged and we're not invested in that story. So there is that question. Are pantsers allowed to map, or does that make them plantsers? I like to think of this as an exercise because you're not, unless you're using this in your actual draft, this is a writing exercise. This isn't necessarily how you're drafting your story. So I think if you're a pantser, and Catherine is our resident pantser, I think you're safe still being a pantser, but as your resident plantser coach, I'm always ready to welcome you to the world.
I think it could be a good dip your toe in. We pantsers love maps. I think that, like you said, Becca, though, it's exercise. I can tell myself, okay, I'm going to write something to show the backstory of this villain that I really love. But that doesn't mean that that's how it's going to be in the book, because I'm still pantsing the book, and the book could end up taking it wherever, and she could have a completely different backstory. And really, that exercise was just for the sake of knowing I should put in these details about her as the book goes along. Like, I should have a motivation. I should have a starting point. She should have needs and wants and flaws. And if those change, then oh well, that's what it means to be a pantser. They're going to change. But if you end up getting it and you like it and you're like, hey, now I have a guide, then yeah, maybe creep over to Plantser just a little bit.
All right. Is there such a thing as a darkish, gritty, cozy mystery? Yeah, you could make it a little bit of a. Cozy horror is a thing. You can make pretty much anything cozy. I think it's going to determine just how graphic you get about whether or not it fits cozy or not. But you can have some darker themes for sure.
Oh yeah, yeah. And, we just finished the dark fantasy workshop, and I kept recommending. I kept recommending Hills of Heather and Bone over and over. It's a cozy dark fantasy by K.E. Andrews, and it is so good. And the chicken, I love that chicken so much. It's like anytime somebody goes, what's cozy dark? I was like, here, take this book. It's brilliant.
Let's see. What, Brian? I have answered this a couple times, but it's earlier in the video, but I will answer it again. Is the character plus dynamic is the character name of the character? So these are at the end of this worksheet. It has our relationships and other notes. These are key relationships that shape the story of the character that you are writing about. So I need the name, the character name of who that is, and you don't have to have spelled it out somewhere. And the dynamic, which means the relationship that they have with the character. Maybe they're an ex, maybe they're their auntie, maybe it's the weird neighbor, maybe it's their best friend from childhood. What is that relationship dynamic between your side character, who we just need a name for, and your main character, whoever you profiled in this exercise?
And Josh, I love this question. If can you add details? Add whatever you need.
Yeah, knock yourself
As
out.
long as all the ones we give you are answered, add away. We have some people using the fiction story builder for the character sections. That's fine. And some people who are only minimally looking at it and just making sure that they have picked the right archetype for their character, that's fine too. However much you'd like to do is fine. So, Axel, the deadline. So, submissions open next week.
Next
And
Tuesday.
we will be back at 1 p.m. next Tuesday to give you step-by-step instructions in a video live on how to submit. It should only take a couple minutes to actually submit, as long as what you have is already written. So then we will be announcing winners the week after that, I believe.
Yep, that's the plan. And this is also, we have a lot of challenges coming up. So this is a great exercise. As Catherine said earlier, you can use this as backstory to help fuel, if you're going to do short story in May, to fuel your short story. You can use this as backstory to kind of develop your idea and your character that could be in that. We haven't announced the theme yet, so we're not going to until it launches. But we have that. We also have, of course, the Novel 90 Summer, which is the novella length work, as well as the Novel 90 second annual Novel 90 in the fall, which is a novel length work. You could take this all the way through if you wanted to.
We had a thing about, the villain is your protagonist is also your villain, that. Which I love. And someone brought up Megamind, which is so underrated. Megamind. Anyway, don't forget when you're mapping this out that the villain often doesn't know or see themselves as the villain. Megamind does, and Megamind's proud of it. But most of the time, they don't. The villain is the hero of their story. So in their mind, they are the one who is trying to overcome. So maybe, I don't know if that helps with your approach, but don't view it as them being the villain per se, as much as what would they be, what makes them the protagonist in their mind. And that's what you map out. Because even if you're going to pit them against someone, they don't view themselves as the person who's in the wrong most of the time, not the real villains. I mean, there's always some superhero things where they're just evil because they love being evil, but a lot of genres don't have that.
Let's see. We have a couple more questions. B asks if you can join multiple teams on Novel 90. Yes, join all of them if you want to. You can be part of all of them. Valerie asks, are the answers supposed to be in prose or are bullets okay? Personally, I'm fine with a well-ordered list. It just needs to be clear how you're answering the question, please.
Yeah, we're not asking you to write scenes to show us these things or anything.
No. Like that. If you want to use this, though, and also someone else asked, where can I find the worksheet if I lost it? So if you look at your confirmation email for signing up for the challenge, it's located there, or you can write into support and we will send you a link. Those will probably be the easiest ways to access it right now. And let us know. It's great. If you want to use this for other characters and other things later on, it is, you are downloading a copy of it. You can use it for, it is free for you to use for character building later on as well. Chris asks, what about a mix of historical, mythic, dark, high, epic, and paranormal fantasies with swords and sorcery? Give it to me. I want to read it.
Yes.
Where is it available, Chris? Take my money.
We love genre bending.
And Josh says, just so you know, this is a great tool for creating D&D. Funny you should say. We host the D&D campaigns at my household. I don't play, but my spawn does. And it is something that I'm becoming more and more familiar with over the last year that we have had D&D into our lives. And I have taken some suggestion from my the campaign on how to structure some of these questions. So I'm glad that someone else recognizes that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And this is a good way to also bridge the gap. If you're coming from D&D to prose, and you've always thought of maybe writing a lit RPG, which is trending up going into this year. You can take this thing and flesh out characters. I actually edit as a developmental editor quite a few lit RPGs this year. I have done 3 already, and it's only April. And the one note that I leave in most dev edits for lit RPGs is that the characters could be deeper. And it's because we take for granted, if you play tabletop RPG games, we take for granted what we know about the characters. So mapping them out like this can help make sure that you actually write down all these key things and you don't forget to incorporate them when you are writing about them in the story. So that way the plot doesn't overthrow the characters.
And I will say, if you are interested in gameplay and strategy as a way to add into your work, we actually have an expert game writer coming on for our expert series in May to talk about how you can incorporate elements of things like tabletop role playing games into your book to help with that immersive character experience, to help with that action side. It's going to be a really great session. So that is look out. That should be opening up for enrollment in the next day or two. So that is coming up as part of our expert series in May. We're very excited to have gameplay and strategy be our focus.
I think that that's about all the questions. If you do have questions, you do not have to wait till next week's live to ask them. You can instead message us at Ottercrit, or you can hit our little help bubble in the bottom right corner. We will help get those answers for you. But ultimately, summing all this up, as long as all the answers are filled out and you have 1 or 2 sentences per answer, you are good. You do not have to overthink the challenge. We just want to start the creative gears turning. There will be, oh yes, Becca, you were going to announce prizes today. I forgot that we said that last week.
We are. So we are going to sort you all into the categories that we have. And so by genre mostly. So if you have your genre, I believe that's a question on there, please put your genre on there if you wish to be sorted into a genre category. And we will be awarding some AutoCrit memberships as prizes. We'll be awarding some Story Doctor, which is the ability to meet with one of our author coaches and have us help you with a story question or issue one-on-one. And then we will also be having some prizes as part of our expert series. So we have a couple expert series passes to give away so that you can go to all of our experts and get really fascinating information about really niche topics. It's fantastic. And I think we have that one more surprise prize that we will be awarding on the actual day. So I'm going to hold that one back because I like to have surprises. So those are our initial prizes, and we're really excited to have this, to continue doing our challenges. And I'm really excited to read these characters. I already blocked out a whole part of my week just to read these because I know there's a huge amount of you currently in here. One note about this, and we get this every time, we are unable to give you personal feedback about every entry because there are hundreds of entries.
We're blind, so we can't pull up who did what without manually asking the IT team to map back your submission to who submitted it. So
they're blind.
Yeah. So yeah.
We can't give you individual feedback. I wish we could, but we are a mighty human team of several people that are reading these, and we are only able to announce the short list because we don't just put you into a numbered order of every single entry that we get and then do it that way. So this is what we have available. Thank you for your patience with us because we are humans and we are doing the best we can.
We do not have any idea.
No, it it really varies.
Like our long list for the Destination Unknown was 139 out of all the participants. So it can vary a lot. There are no classes tonight, but if you would like to keep an eye out on AutoCrit classes, I'm going to go ahead and drop the link to the AutoCrit calendar for you. Our pro member events and our academy courses and workshops are all listed on the AutoCrit calendar. Here is the link to that. So you can keep up with all the things and come to all the clubs and all of that fun stuff as well. We do have office hour today at 2, which is where we are about to head, and that is free and open to anybody who would like to bring questions. Today, the focus of office hour is planning. So if you are going to use AutoCrit's planning tools to help you through your challenge, then this would be a good place to come do that.
Yep. Cody asks, what if I do want to write whole scenes because of world building? Knock yourself out, Cody. You want to write whole scenes as answers to these questions? Please, yeah, just if you could make sure that the answer to the question is towards the top, that would be super helpful.
Yep. All right, everybody. Thanks so much. We will see you back here for the challenge next Tuesday at 1. Good luck, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.